Right. So
So
let's just jump on something, right? The idea that you think that clouds and like moisture in the air is bad is very, very wrong. You do understand the mere fact that we have clouds which are white and also reflect the UV rays of the sun back into space is a good thing, right? You do understand that that is a really good thing for the planet. And over the years, we've lost a certain percent of the cloud coverage that the planet normally has. Do you understand that?
nobody understands that. What you've said is complete nonsense. Or please show me the scientific article which shows over the last few decades we're losing cloud. Like our atmosphere is becoming more moist because we're becoming more warm, i.e., there's more clouds in the air.
Okay. Okay. Well, I just needed to double check with that.
I don't know where you're getting your accent from.
I'm very confused. You do understand how just touching on certain things you said, you do understand that plants retain carbon dioxide after they take it out of the atmosphere, right?
CO2, water. Yeah, there's a cycle of
Right.
gases
Right. And you
in the
understand.
atmosphere. It cycles.
Okay,
Yeah.
so and you understand that this CO2 that is removed by plants are retained by plants even after they die, right?
No, not true. Vast majority in a plant's life, of course, is cycled through. There is an amount at the end of the life, but no, if you look at the carbon that goes through the plant, because plants also breathe, right? They have a light cycle and a dark cycle. The light and dark cycle is not to do with day and night, right? The light cycle is obviously for where it makes sugar with carbons, but of course it has the dark cycle in which it breaks down the sugars and makes carbon dioxide, right? So there's actually there's a net gain of CO2, but it's not total, right? There's a lot of CO2 given out and there's a lot of CO2 taken in, and by the end of a plant's life, if it goes all into the ground, that would be lost. But even in the breakdown of the tree, right, as it gets breaks out, a lot of that means that a lot of that collagen, right, that tree is mostly made of, which is just carbon hydrogen chains like oil, right? It's a carbohydrate chain. That's what makes the tree so tough. Well, we need fungus and bacteria to break that down, and they do. And when they break it down, they release CO2. So in the soil, in the sea, in the trees, in the plants, the CO2 is cycling, right? And so whether there's a net positive cycle or a net negative cycle globally will dictate the increase or decrease of the total amount of CO2 in the atmosphere as it is cycling, right? And so what we're seeing now, and have been seeing before the Industrial Revolution anyway, was a general increase of CO2, right? Tiny increments though, right? And there's ups and downs. So it's average lines through the ups and downs. And what we have seen, yes.
Okay, so if that's the case, then we both agree that humans have escalated this thing, right?
Potentially, the escalation could be significant. If not, it is an insignificant acceleration and very difficult to measure in total, right? Because it's the total amount of carbon dioxide, human anthropomorphic carbon dioxide added, is a very small percentage. No scientist climate says no. It is like 0.00003 of the total carbon, but we are trying to find out if that is important, because it is something that's not in the natural cycle, right? I mean, you have volcanoes and you have mass forest fires, and they release carbon dioxide levels which are terrifying compared to man-made. But, you know, people go, well, that's the natural CO2, you know. So how does nature accommodate for natural CO2 different from man-made CO2? Like, is it a qualitative difference or is it just a quantitative? And so these are the topics that are still quite hot, but it's certainly not set in stone. And the predictions have not been great for the last 40, 50 years. So we went from, in the 1910s and 1920s, thinking that we were going into a massive global warming and there was, you know, glaciers retreating, to the 50s to 70s, thinking that we were going into an ice age, right? And it was all in the news. We could be heading for an ice age. And they actually had scientists and governments funding scientists to see ways in which they could produce huge amounts of carbon dioxide, because that might save them from a mini ice age, or a not so mini ice age.
Do you mind if I ask how old you are?
I'm 40.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. I don't
we can
know.
get off science and back onto religion if you want. But.
Yeah, but I don't know where this ice age thing came from.
Wait, I'll show you. Do you know who's Steve Menoy? What's he called? The Star Trek guy. Menoy.
I have
Spock.
no Spock.
You don't know the actor.
I don't know
Nimoy.
his name.
Oh right. Have you seen the old episodes? You've seen the old episodes,
Yeah.
Of and Spock, right?
Yeah.
So Nimoy is a very famous actor, died only a few years ago. Yeah, you can watch a really good documentary made by him following the scientists who were being warning that we were potentially heading into an ice age. It's a good 40-minute.
Okay.
I'll send it to you if you want.
No. It's not necessary. But do you think that could have been propaganda?
Sorry.
Do you think that could have been propaganda?
Oh, do you think it could have been an oil industry's propaganda to? No, I mean, but there really was like an increase. There was a massive downward trend in average temperatures. It did seem that if that trend continued, we would go into an ice age, but we didn't. From the 1970s to now, it's been on an upward trend again. So,
okay.
In the Roman age, we had a very kind of tropical Mediterranean climate in the UK, where there were grapes and walnuts and almonds growing and all sorts of stuff. We got that in the soil. We have the evidence of it.
Okay.
But of course, it got much colder. We went into the medieval mini ice age, the little ice age, and we got very, very cold. So it goes up and down, but there's trends.
Okay. Okay. But you do understand that the oil companies and all that kind of stuff did do a lot of propaganda to try and convince people that climate change wasn't real and all this kind of stuff, right?
Well, they're still doing it, and even scientists that aren't funded are going.
That's why I was asking.
CO2 is not. Yeah.
That's why I was.
There's a lot of propaganda saying that CO2 is the worst thing, and it's like, so it's still a hot topic. It's not set.
Okay. Okay. Well,
I
will definitely if we do this again, we can definitely dive into the whole climate change thing, because I feel like you have information that seems to be accurate, but it's not accurate. And yeah, I'm just curious how you're getting this information and how it seems like it's crossing somewhere in your mind, and I'm not too sure if it makes any sense.
I've been on this for a very long time. I mean, I was taught by he's in charge, so I'm not worried about climate change. If we're going to go down to beliefs, then we can do it like that. But
okay,
yeah, I like science.
Well,
perfect. What science is.
Perfect call back to the God thing. Okay, so we were basically discussing your belief system and how you came about that belief system, and I was saying to kind of separate them on how your belief system works, and not by using references, which is the Bible and what you've been told. So God presents himself, and you need to give me how, and not just because I read up on him.
Well, I'd certainly say, as an atheist, when I look back at it, I can see so